The Valley schedule in full swing, and that means the rumors of our demise greatly exaggerated. Welcome back to Braves Talk, everybody. For a refresher for everybody out there, I'm the Iceman, Matt Freighton. Across from me in Peoria land, the coach, the OG, Brad and Rick Powell. Gentlemen, it's been so long. How are you?
Iceman, we're doing well. Glad to be back at it after quite the hiatus. I think between the holidays, some illness, and just busy schedules, it's been tough to make time to squeeze one of these in. But I'm glad that we're here to do it. And I know that the OG here has been chomping at the bit for quite some time, so he may be in rare form today.
Yep, literally a year older since our last broadcast.
That must be true. There we go.
That was me.
All right,
wait, hold on.
go
A
ahead.
year older, so you're aging like in space, essentially. So you're rapidly growing here.
Well, I've had a birthday since the last time we've had.
Oh,
a
well,
show.
happy birthday!
Belated birthday, sir.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Now way up there.
Dynamite.
You don't look a day over 40, buddy.
Thanks.
But
You
we
don't
do
get
have
anything for that, but
we do have some exciting developments here tonight. We do have a guest with us. This is long overdue in my opinion, but tonight we are lucky enough to be joined by Bradley superfan Joey Muting. So Joey's with us tonight. So everybody get your coffee ready with Joey in the house. Joey, how are you, my friend?
Oh, well, we're going to have some coffee and do a podcast. That's what I say.
I like it.
Go Braves. It's good to be on, guys. Thanks for having me. It's pretty cool.
No, it's a real pleasure, man. And I know we've talked about it for a while, and glad we were able to make it happen, especially on such short notice, which was awesome. And so I am curious. I think we've asked everybody, and I'd like to ask you as well. So kind of give us a little bit of background on your journey to Bradley basketball fandom, how it came to be, and just kind of a little background about you on that side of things.
Yeah. So I had some family that went to Bradley University. So that's kind of how I came to know Bradley. When it was time to apply for colleges, I applied to two colleges, Bradley and Lewis University, which is in Chicagoland, Romeoville. Got accepted to Lewis, was all good to go. And then out of the blue, Bradley called, said I was accepted, and there was no discussion. It was, I'm going to Bradley. That's it. And obviously being a big sports fan, went to games, and let me tell you, probably through some of the worst years of Bradley basketball, just fell in love with the team, man. I mean, it's just what it's all about, right? Going and showing your support for the basketball team and different athletic, games. We had a buddy who played for the baseball team. So we were at a lot of the baseball games, and then got involved in the Red Sea. And by the time I was a super senior, was VP of the Red Sea. And thankful to a couple of guys, specifically Anthony and Colin, two of my very close friends, getting me involved in the Red Sea. And that's kind of where it all started. Met my wife down in Peoria in Bradley, and she's been a lifelong Bradley fan. So it's just been probably my fandom's grown since then, because I've gotten to see the Peoria side of it instead of just the college side of it. And it's been pretty special.
No, that is exciting, and one of my favorite things about doing this podcast and the group chat that a bunch of us are in on X is I think that I kind of had tunnel vision about Bradley basketball, and just I wasn't connected to a lot of different Bradley fans, and kind of thought that it was almost an oddity for someone like me to be as obsessed and into Bradley basketball as I was, and then it's like I get to meet everybody, and over the last few years especially. And it's so awesome just to see people, to have this group of people that share this passion. And I mean, obviously I knew there were people that were passionate about Bradley basketball, but in my eyes, especially at a younger age, it was always felt like the core of that passionate fan base was significantly older. And so to realize there is a large group of young people that are very passionate about Bradley has been a lot of fun for me. And it has to be so rewarding for you and other people that went to school around the same time as you to kind of have your fandom start in a way when the team was really, really struggling, and see it grow to where it's been. Because for me, it's been different, because I grew up, going to games through the mid-90s when the team was really, really good. And then, obviously not too long after the Sweet 16 year, things, fell off, and we had a dark decade or so. And then now, we are, I would say, back where Bradley basketball should be. I mean, there's room to grow, but we're there. And then I think about people like my dad who's seen it go up and down several times over his lifetime. So, and then Matt, Matt's just kind of come along the last few years when Bradley basketball's been, kind of where it is right now. So just the different tracks everyone's fandom's on is really fascinating to me. And, it's really cool to kind of hear how your story came to be.
Yeah, man, it was tough. I'll be honest. I mean, going to the games and it was the score to beat was like 57 or whatever to get your free steak from wherever it was from at the Lariat, right?
Right.
And I mean, my goodness, 57 points. If we don't hit that now, it's but it's been a lot of fun, and I enjoy it, and I've been involved in a lot of things. So I just love sharing the passion with everybody, and it's cool to get to meet everybody who's got that same passion, like you said.
And speaking of super fans, Rick, you haven't said
Yes,
a
sir.
word yet. Come on, buddy.
No, Bradley.
So
Bradley.
a well-controlled mute button is.
Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah, they wish they had it here in real time today. But anyway, the Bradley fan base it's a very high basketball IQ fan base too, for the most part, and especially the older side. It seems like anyway, but it's just I mean, for me, I'm following Bradley basketball. It's just been fun. Just totally.
Honestly, I think that as a fan, it's good to go through the ups and downs and the cyclical nature of a program or a team or whoever, because I think that in times like this, it allows you to appreciate it when you've seen how bad it can get or you've seen close to the bottom. And I think that this fan base right now is in a good period. But Brad, you've talked about all the bad years. And I think that when you see what has happened over this success or the success that's been had over the Wardle time, you remember back to those times where they weren't very good, right? And I think that that's extremely important for any fan base. But I think a tight-knit group where this is like the pro team, I think it's even more important.
Oh, absolutely. And I said it here before, the Drake game happened, the season finale to win the regular season a couple years ago. I remember saying that I never thought that Carver would ever sell out for a Bradley game again. It just seems like such a pipe dream at that point in time. And, to see that happen was so awesome. And it's one of those things that I remember actually during that game thinking to myself, because that game was, it was kind of back and forth for a while, and you're on the edge of your seat the whole game. And I remember one point in time being like, how do I let my emotions be controlled by 18 to 24-year-olds that I have absolutely no influence on whatsoever? Like, and I am a train wreck right now. I'm like, why do I sign up for this sort of thing? And then, as the game ends and you have that, you're able to celebrate the victory. I'm like, this is why you invest so much into these moments, from an emotional standpoint.
Tuesday
Yeah,
night was one of those tough ones.
Oh yeah, and we've been through many of those in the years, right? And I'll be honest with you guys, like my freshman year, I believe was the year when we had Michigan to come into town, and I think we lost by like 6 or 7. We had a big crowd that day, right? It was next to capacity, and then as a freshman, I mean, oh yeah, Peoria shows up. This is what it's all about, and then I don't know. We probably didn't hit that many fans the rest of the season that year, but it was. I'll be honest. I had tears in my eyes sitting there for that Drake game. I mean, that was just awesome to sit in the stands and see the stadium like that again, and for everything that I had gone through as a fan for those 5 years of my college tenure, to be able to see it like that was just. I just, like I said, I had tears in my eyes. It was beautiful.
I love stories like that personally. So, but gentlemen, it's been 2 months since we've been at this, and the Braves have been a little bit busy. But I want to say this before we get into it, because obviously you guys have been following, and I try to follow in the chat. But 7-3 in Valley play, 14-7 overall. And I would say that given the up and down nature of just the chat and how you guys have been like on drug benders, up and down, up and down, up and down, all things considered, considering the volatile nature of this team, the inconsistent nature of this team, being 7-3 in the Valley and in third place, honestly, it could be a lot worse.
Yeah, big time. Could be worse. And the frustrating thing for fans, and I know, I mean, there's a lot of times that we're, through a game, game conversation as we're having it on our chat. A lot of times it could really sound like we're being super negative and picking on this player, that player, but we all love each and every player. We love the coaches. We love the effort that's being brought out there. But sometimes we'll question, okay, man, that he's not bringing the effort, and and Wardle has said this is going to be an up and down team. I mean, and there's some inconsistency with the few players that are, we had as fans thought would come in and be better, be more consistent than they are. They've shown flashes, and especially the two transfers in AJ and Alex. One we call Mr. First Half. Now, I don't know if we can call him Mr. First Half or not anymore. Because now it looks like maybe second half. He showed up the other day, for a good part, but still, I mean,
Yeah, and we'll talk more about
Yeah.
kind of the players and what's to be hopefully seen from some of the guys down the stretch here. But for sure it's frustrating, but so obviously, like Matt said, um, off to a pretty good start, all things considered, with this up and down as this team's been. So far, we've managed to steal 2 games on the road, but those are at Evansville and Indiana State. We've dropped the 3 games to the other top 4, 3 of the top 4 teams in Murray, Belmont, and Illinois State, and weren't really competitive in any of them, unfortunately. I mean, Belmont sort of we were, but to some degree, and but it wasn't the version of Bradley that we need to show up to win basketball games in any of those games. My goodness, you can tell it's been a while. But the good sign is the Braves have been holding serve at home, and I think that's really important. As long as you can protect the home court, and we've done so, against UNI, which is probably the marquee home win at this point in time, and we got big ones coming up. We'll talk about later. But Joey, I kind of would like to hear what you think maybe about where we've been. Like my dad already mentioned, Wardle said this thing would be a roller coaster ride, and he's spot on. It has been, and I'm sure it'll continue to be. But it's been a lot of fun nonetheless.
Yeah, I think we've talked about it in a couple of Braves talks in the past here, where we knew this was going to be kind of a year where we needed to be a little bit more patient, I think. And as we've talked about, right, it's easy to say like, oh, we've been negative, we're attacking on some of these guys, but the standard has been set so high to where these laxes in defense, or maybe not making the extra pass, or maybe making one too many passes, it seems like we're a step slow at times. And that really, I think, shows up on the road, right? When you're on the road in a tough environment. And we've played in some tough environments, let's be honest. I mean, it's not easy to travel down and play, Belmont and Murray pretty much back to back in 3 days, right around the beginning of the year. It's not easy, right? Going to ISU, it's always a hard game, right? For years, we've kind of been saying, oh, well, this is their Super Bowl type game, right? And it's never an easy game, it seems to be, when those two teams go at it.
And now that they're somewhat relevant, I mean, they're starting to get more fans into their arena now too. So
they're hostile environments, and that's where I like what you said, Brad, about we're holding our own at home. Carver has a home court advantage, and it rears its head, right? And a couple nights ago, it just seemed like the crowd wasn't getting into it, and we didn't give us much to cheer about. So I'm not going to say it's on the fans.
It's like the crowd sits. We want the team to give us something, to where we can get up. But then as soon as we start getting up and getting into it, something will happen and take
turnover or something.
Yeah.
Well, like you said, the standards been raised, right? And I think that as much as people, and don't get me wrong, there's certainly some like unwarranted negativity out there, no doubt about it. But
always
the staff, and Wardle, they've set the standard, they've set the bar, and I think that as a fan base, what I feel is I'm like, man, like you can't you have to earn the support in the moment. You have to really earn the support of the fan base. And once
Mhm.
once the fans feel like you're really putting forth the effort, they'll get into the game. But like if they feel like you're just out there going through the motions, like they're gonna be quiet, and no one's gonna get out of
Yep.
their seat and whatever else. And like you said,
Yeah.
it was like that a lot
Yep.
against Indiana State until they finally
Well,
showed some life in the last 8 minutes or so.
they got us into it with 6 minutes to go, and we were into it for a full 6 minutes. And
Yeah.
and hopefully they learn something from that. The team, we hope. We've said that several
Well,
times this year,
They
but
were earlier, the SIU game at home. I happened to be there, and that one seemed like the crowd was just kind of there, and then all of a sudden we got into it, and we took off. And Carver has such a home court advantage, and our fans, when we go on the road, I was blessed to go down to the tournament down at Disney World, as I got the shirt on now, but um, man, it was loud, and you could tell it was loud, and it sounded loud on the broadcast from what I hear, and it made a difference at times. I think it really did. And the crowd feeds off the players, and the players feed off the crowd, but there's got to be that mutual back and forth, right, between the two. Rick, like you said, sometimes we're getting into it, and turnover or offensive foul or just some sort of play that, once again, a big three, that we give up because we're rotating, poorly. It's just one of those things. Once again, I'm going to keep saying it. It's more of a patient year, and it stinks to say that, but we have some young
of us
players
to be
taking
patient.
strides. Yeah.
Yeah.
We've had some young players that have taken strides, and we've had some vets that have left something to be desired a little bit too. So, I still don't think we've played a complete basketball game this entire
I don't
season.
think so. And we may not, but even if we get something
100%.
close,
100%. But to be 7-3 in Valley play, third place, 2 games out of first. I mean, anything can happen down the stretch. We all know that. And there's a game. I was supposed to be coming down tomorrow night, but with this ugly storm we got coming through the area, we decided to postpone, which stinks, but it's okay. Safety first, right? But
Right.
we switched the game now to 3-1 March 1st against Murray State at home, and that could be
There
a
you
big
go.
game. That could be a real big
Hopefully
game.
it is.
I will say this. In the games that I've watched this year, just listening to you talk, thinking about how the team has played up and down on the road, even up and down at home, but still kind of holding serve. Brad, in the NFL, we always say like, oh, this team's a year away. Like you know what I mean? That's kind of the vibe that I get from this, because you see the bones of young talent, right? And you see the potential at times, but being able to tap into it in a consistent way is something that teams that are ready do. And it feels at times like they're not quite there yet, that they're a year away. And is that a fair assessment of what we've seen?
It's
In
a
a way.
fair assessment. It's a fair assessment. Like it's a fair assessment in a practical sense or whatever, but or in theory, I should say.
Yeah.
But like 10 years ago, I would probably really subscribe to that thought. But now it's like
I know, because you lose your turnover. I get you, but I'm saying
we might be replacing
I
half
hear
the
you.
roster next season. But the vibes of man, this team just needs some more time to come together, to iron out a few things, to develop 100%. Like you're right on the
Or
money
they're a
with that.
piece away or something like that.
Yeah,
It's something where you can feel that there's just a little something that if it was there, an ingredient, you know what I'm saying? Like that's what I mean. I understand that there's turnover and you don't build a program the way that you used to, but that's just that's the comp. That's the
Sure. No, I agree.
Analogy I'm trying to make.
No, I think it's a good analogy for sure.
Well, and the other thing too, when you think about it, I mean, think about last year, right? Last year we had the starting 5 pretty much played together for 3 years, right? And now we got a starting 5 that's it's not really okay. I'm going to throw it over here because I know Darius is going to be there on the screen, right? Or I'm gonna go here, and Darius, the ghost screen play is just so good, right? When you think about how many games we've won, and we don't have that kind of chemistry on this team right now, it seems, right? And it could happen, it could not happen. But you got to strike when the iron's hot, because you don't know what next year is going to bring.
Wes is positive, as always.
And I think that's true. Like this team like can play well enough to beat anybody on any given night, but they could
Oh
also
yeah.
play poorly enough to lose to anybody on any given night. And that's how we talked about this roller coaster ride. And we just got to hope it's going in the right direction when it matters, and hope we can, keep it together enough down, across these next 10 games to put ourselves in a good position to do some damage in St. Louis. And I think that, that's what the expectation should be. We should be a top 4 team that has a chance to make a good run at Arch Madness. And so, kind of talking about that, as far as what's going to contribute to that, I'd like to talk a little bit about, and Joey, I'll throw it to you first, being our guest. Kind of, what are some things you've seen as or some players that you think are real bright spots so far? And I think a lot of the players are going to kind of fit into both these next couple categories in a lot of ways. But what's really stood out to you this season so far, as like really good things you've seen from players that you've liked?
Yeah, well, obviously, we'll start off the rip with what is it, Jaquan Johnson? Now they kept saying Jaquan on the broadcast the other night. I don't know how they're saying it, but Bully's been a bright spot, right? I mean, Bully's been what's he averaging, 18 points a game, around there, and he definitely has improved at the free throw line, which is huge. I mean, he's shooting closer to 80% now, I think, for the season from the free throw line, where he started out maybe closer to 40-50%. If he's going to get to the rim and get the contact, like, he's got to hit those free throws. And I think that it's been a real bright spot here in the past couple of games. I love that he's got this range from 3 this year. We saw it in spots last year, but to see that he's not afraid to take the 3 this year is huge. I think he had a couple big ones against Indiana State the other night that kind of got us back in the game. Love Montana Wheeler. He's my guy right now. He brings a spark when he's in. Obviously, he's a freshman and he makes some freshman mistakes at times, right? But he's been a huge impact, I think, coming off the bench. And then really, you know what? I'm going to say it, and go ahead and call me Rick, OG, whatever you want. Yeah, it's easy to rip on him, but Meta's been playing some pretty decent defense here. If he can keep that up, I think we'll be good. I'd like him to finish a little bit more on the offensive side, as I'm sure we all would. But
the other night was kind of a little bit of an anomaly from the offensive side because, I mean, he has missed a couple alley-oops, but he was 0 for 7 Tuesday.
Yeah.
And I don't see him doing that often. There's something, and it's either in the alley-oop or the pass to him, or because to me it looked like, from where I'm sitting, it looked like he was releasing the ball to the rim when he was too far out. He needed to get in a little closer in a lot of those. And I still think him and you both tend to overpower the ball when they're, do a quick turnaround instead of kissing it off the glass. They both kind of, throw it up away too hard.
We'll have to get you into the gym so you can show these guys how.
I was actually going to say that, Brad. I was actually going to say, I imagine you got a nice little baby hook, like a little Kareem action.
Who needs the what is it? The Wardle basketball camp over the summer? We'll just go to OG's.
OG's basketball camp.
Yeah.
I would pay good money.
I would.
Big man camp.
Oh, I absolutely would.
And then I'll just end up with this one here too. When Timo drives, man, it is just such a different player. He's kind of silky smooth on his way on that cut for a layup. He did it a couple of times last couple of games, and it really kind of opens things up if he can stick to that, because he's not been hitting the 3.
He looks quicker this year than he did last
year. Yeah, that's it. That's kind of where I'm going with it.
Yeah.
So I mean, that's
fearless.
my take there, right? I mean, I think those are the kind of the standout moments, I think, from this squad for sure.
Yeah, and
so
I think
far.
for sure,
100%, right?
I mean, Dad, I assume you'll echo a lot of those sentiments, but anything you'd like to add to what Joey said?
Yeah, because I was talking with Brad earlier, and we were talking about the consistency of players. And I'm right now, you ask me who I think is the most consistent player or players on this team right now. It's Timo and Bully. I think you can expect what Bully does game in, game out. He's going to give you that effort. And Timo's the same way. I mean, he's bringing the effort. And I love AJ, but I'm starting Timo in his place every game. But that's me. That's my opinion. I'm not coach, so that's not happening. But that's just where I'm at. That's how much I appreciate what Timo has brought this year. But the two most consistent players, in my opinion, is Timo and Bully.
Yeah, and so speaking of AJ, I guess we'll segue into the next part here, which is, some areas or players where we would like to see more consistency out of them down the stretch here. Obviously, AJ is the real, I think, popular candidate in this discussion. We all agree, and everybody, I'm like tired of hearing it. Like, almost makes me like cringe when I hear the Jaquan Johnson, or not Jaquan Johnson, my goodness, Jashawn Henry talk in comparisons and things like that. I'm like, I mean, the only comparison I guess is maybe like their physical build to some degree. There's no other. No, I mean, there's not really anything else that stands out. And yeah, I mean, if Wes is starting to question it, man, that things aren't in a great place. No, it's just, and I don't know. I feel like he plays with effort. I don't think that it's just,
it comes
he
and goes.
finish. He can't finish at the rim. He struggles defensively. And
how many bunnies has he missed this season?
But I don't know. And it was, P-Town, who sits behind us. He's like, I wonder if he has like abnormally small hands or something, like for his size, for the fact that he can't seem to like finish a dunk or hang on to the ball.
Well, and here's the thing, because I know preseason, I know Wardle had talked about the players and that, and then he talked about AJ, and they brought him in and they had identified areas that he needed to work on, and I don't think he necessarily specified, but in my research of AJ, he was horrible finishing down low at the rim. He was just awful. And I said, okay, he's worked on that, or maybe he's worked on the 3-point shot. Well, if he's worked on it, it was a disaster, because he has not done very good at finishing at the rim. He's picking up boards, so I'll say that. I mean, he had 7 the other night.
So,
and to follow up on that real quick, right? I mean, I'm looking at it right now. 45 seconds left in the game, 68, huge offensive rebound. I mean, he had a huge offensive rebound. They got it to Timo. He hit 1 of 2 free throws. Down on the other side of the court, Harding for Indiana State misses a 3, giant defensive rebound by AJ. He goes then and gets that big steal with 20 seconds left. So this is all in 25 seconds. He's gotten 3 big rebounds, a steal, and hit 2 free throws. He won us the game the other night. Yeah. We need more of that play from him consistently if we're going to have him in the starting lineup, in my opinion.
Yep, that's the AJ we'd love to see every time he hits the floor.
Guys, he's bringing stats and actual facts. Like, he may be too good for this show.
There's no room for that here.
Seriously.
No, that's great,
I need
Joey.
conjecture.
No, honestly,
I need speculation. Come on.
No, I think that, I mean, that's great insight, though, because we've seen it, right, in little spurts, and it's like, why can't we just be more consistent? And, Wes asked, like, what justifies playing him? And I know this is probably the whole, like, we don't talk about this, we don't whatever, but, like, I don't know how much he's making. You know what I mean? You wonder if that dictates some of these things, unfortunately, to some degree. And it shouldn't. And I would imagine that Coach Wardle would say the same. And I know it's kind of a taboo topic to talk about, I feel like, in some ways. But it's like in the pros, if you're paying a guy, you want to play him. You want to get what you're paying for. Yeah. And you're not going to have an opportunity to get that if he's out on the floor. And I guess by benching him, you're just admitting defeat or that you were wrong in your evaluation.
Yeah.
Which Wardle is tough for people to do. Doesn't seem like the guy who would do that. Like, how they say your worst employees get rewarded with no work and your best employees get more work? Well, I think it's the opposite for Brian Wardle. It's like, hey, we're paying you to be here. We're paying you to produce. You're going to continue to go out there until you start to produce. Like, we're not letting you off the hook type of thing.
There was that. Was it a two game stretch that he didn't start, and they did bring Timo in? Yeah. After a very bad low effort game from him and a few other players, as far as that goes.
I do almost wonder if he would fit better coming off the bench.
That's what I. That's why I even said that about Jay Sean. Jay Sean was
Okay,
far
yeah.
better coming off the bench than he was starting. What for?
Yeah.
And I don't understand. I don't get what the deal is, but whether you start or not, and it's doesn't matter who you start. It's how and who finishes. In my opinion, who's putting up the points, who's the hot guy, who's going to bring it as a team. So, but like I said, I'm still. You want to get off to good starts. I mean, we can't get off the starts like we did against Evansville.
No. In
get
both
down
games.
in both games, get down by them, by 13. That's a recipe for disaster too. But how you can get socked in the mouth by them and come back and win, but then of course ISU is a far better team. But a lot of the lower level teams are giving the better teams a good run for their money, as we have seen here of late.
Well, and I'll tell you what, being down the road, Valpo is going to be a real tough road game because Valpo is playing out of their mind at home. They are.
Yeah, and these games, they're all going to be tough, I think. It's just because of how we play, and I do think that there's a little bit more parity in the Valley than we've seen in a while, and I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing, but, every game's going to be a battle, and my dad mentioned earlier, he goes, this game here is a really important one. I was like, in Bradley's case, just the most important game is the next game, just because they can be beaten by anybody. So they have to play, they have to approach every game like it's the most important game of the season.
But isn't that how it works at the mid-major level anyway? Because you just need to you need to win your conference tournament. Like no matter what conference you're in, that's how you get in. And so Brad, you're 100% right. Like you could look at the schedule and say this one could be tough, this one could be tough. But you have to win the games that are in front of you, because even if you win all the tough games and you lose a game that you need to in the tournament, like that's where this gets really tough. Because if this were like a blue blood program, 100% with you. And I'm not necessarily not 100% with you, but I think you understand what I'm saying.
Absolutely, I do. No, for sure. And so, we talked about obviously where we'd like to see, and there's other places. One person, I don't want to sit here and I guess beat it to death because we've been talking about the team for a bit, but someone else who I'd personally like to see more consistency out of is Tamarian Birch. I just feel like he disappears out there sometimes, and he's been scoring. He's a little streaky. He's a streaky scorer, I guess, but you'll take it when you can get it. I kind of peeked through the box scores, of him for the last 10 games or so, and there's not a lot else that's showing up. When it comes to rebounds and assists and steals, and it's not like he's stuffing the stat sheet in the other categories when he's not scoring. So, he's kind of somebody I thought coming into this season that, would be sort of an X factor. And I don't know that he's been
I wonder if
player.
some of his confidence is a little short, not quite 100% there. Because he's been putting up a lot of. I don't know if he got hurt. I know
I don't know.
Early in the year,
he was on the sideline and it looked like a back brace on almost.
That could be.
Maybe.
And looking at the box where he only played, I think 18 minutes.
Yeah.
And so maybe he's
putting up a lot of his shots on his drives coming up short. If you haven't noticed, I mean, look, the air ball the other day, that could be back related. If
I mean, we got a better chance of finding out national, national secrets or whatever than we do about Bradley injuries. So, which is fine. I understand it. Why put it out there? And Wardle's also the type of guy that's not going to make excuses for anybody. At any point in time, it's just the way he operates, which is fine. I have no problem with that.
I admire Wardle's demeanor of late, the way he talks about, he says, this is the team we have, and it's going to be up and down.
It does seem like he's really embraced it, because I think he realizes he had to, otherwise he'd lose his mind. Just because it is an extremely frustrating team to watch at times, and I'm assuming even more so from his perspective.
Well, I think he'd lose the locker room too, and I think that's one thing with teams that he's had, with the exception of probably less than a handful of players that's come through under him, have always bought into him and his coaching staff. And I think he's I don't know, do you want to call him a player's coach? I don't know if you call him that or not, but it seems like he gets his players and his players get him.
Yeah, I just think he's the type of guy that gets the right players. And I've kind of always had that opinion of them. But moving forward, obviously, as we get into the second half of Valley play, that starts tomorrow night for the Braves as they host UIC, who's looked really good, honestly, here here recently. We talked about how the most important game for Bradley is the next game, and so the Flames are coming to town, and it stinks because this is the type of game that, especially for fans that are aware of what's going on in the Valley, this is the type of game you'd want a great crowd at, and I fear that the weather is going to keep a lot of people away, which will stink. But I'm curious though. Obviously, Joey, it's gonna keeping you away, understandably so. You have a much longer trip though than people here in town, but still, I get it, man. I get it. Safety first, and But I guess let's talk about that briefly, and we can kind of talk about what's left on the schedule down the stretch here. Go ahead, Dad.
Oh, well, UIC are a very good team. They're very deep. They played 12 players total against Evansville the other night. Of the 7 bench players, there was only 2 that got under 10 minutes, and each one of them's got 2 minutes apiece. But everyone else was 10 minutes or more. With the most amount of minutes to anybody was one of the starters at 26. But there was like only four players in double figures. 3 had 10, 1 had 16. So, I mean, offensively, the output's not super great, but they've got some good players that play good, solid defense. They, turn the, help the other team turn the ball over. So it's gonna be an interesting game. My question is, is our length going to be enough to help alter them? I was telling Brad too, I think this might not be a great game for Meta because of his speed. I think the athleticism that comes with UIC might be, a little much for him. That's an excellent game for a Corey Thomas to break out, I think, because of his athleticism. Can he play with the confidence he needs to? I wish he'd stop throwing up some of the ugly threes he does, but if he makes them, it's great. And if he doesn't, it's like, why'd you do that?
Mm-hmm.
But he needs to rebound. AJ needs to rebound. It's going to be a nice battle with their point guard. Can't remember his name.
Doesn't matter.
Yeah, it doesn't matter. The guy that had the 16 points, he's like 6'3", Bully's what, 5'11", 5'10", something like that. But it's going to be an interesting matchup if they're the two that match up against each other. But it's going to be a very exciting game. I mean, we got to play. We're going to have to play them like we did the last 6 minutes against Indiana State. We got to come out and sock them in the mouth and then keep them down.
Well, this is going to be interesting. I think both teams like to play with pace, right? They like to get out and run a little bit. The other thing that I look at with this is, we pride ourselves in steals, right? We lead the Valley in steals, all this jazz, right? Well, we average 8.9 steals a game. They average 8.3. So it's kind of, we talk about how good we are. They're just as active on the defensive end. They played Murray State very well. I think they only lost by like 5 or 6. They played UIC or played Illinois State real hard on the road. They ended up winning in overtime. So, I mean, it's once again, as we say, we're a streaky team. UIC seems to be a streaky team as well. So I think it's going to come down to the turnover battle. I think I firmly do. The other night, Indiana State had 22 turnovers. We had 4 or 5.
Yeah.
And I mean, Indiana State tried to give us the game, and for 18 minutes into the second half, we just didn't want to take it. And I think that could be the case again with UIC. Now, UIC, on the other hand, while they got some bigs, their leading rebounder is a guard. So maybe our size can help a little bit underneath, but I don't know.
You're right.
You guys know how we rebound.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right. I mean, either way, like we talked about how important it is to hold serve at home, and hopefully we can continue to do that against another good opponent in UIC. And but let's talk about the road a little bit. So obviously, throughout the remainder of the season, we still have trips to Drake, Northern Iowa, SIU, Valpo that you mentioned, Joey, and then a return trip to UIC on the slate. So I think to finish where we talked about needing to finish, you're going to have to, obviously you've already gotten the three big ones out of the way, but, it's never easy to go to Northern Iowa. Drake, they're not the Drake we've known over the last decade, but it's, they just beat Murray there, right? So, that's not one you can take lightly. You talked about how strong Valpo's home court advantage has been this year so far. And then, of course, we talked about how streaky UIC is, and you have to, be prepared to play that game no matter what. And it's always tough to go play in Carbondale. They turn out pretty well for that team, no matter how good they are. So that's one that's going to be a challenge as well.
I think
there's some tough road games.
Yeah, they need to do better than 2 and 3 though in those 5 games.
100%.
Absolutely, yeah.
Which could be tough. Could be tough.
It's going to be tough. Yeah, I mean, it's going to be tough for sure. No, I think that like you got to come out of that. 4-1 would be great. If you can manage to go 4-1 in that stretch, and that's probably a tall task and a lot to ask. But
it's when you're going to find out in crunch time what the team is really made of. Can they be sneaky good the way that West thinks that they can? And then getting the 3 bigs at home with that home court advantage, getting some momentum. I think that these things are set up for them to really show us what they're made of, personally.
Yeah, to get the home finale against Murray on Senior Day is going to be huge. Hopefully, it's a game that's a meaningful one when it comes down to it. I mean, I think it'll be meaningful. It's just a matter of how meaningful. It'll be. Hopefully, it's for a regular season title. That'd be wonderful if that's the case. But there's a lot of things that have to happen between now and then to set up that opportunity. First, yeah, exactly. Let's take the next game's the most important game. We'll just keep beating that drum. But
we got to get Belichick in there. On to the
next.
The
next one. I like looking at teams with some possible intangibles. So maybe some tangibles that might be in our favor for tomorrow is UIC's on a 5-game winning streak. They have one on the road to Illinois State and UNI. Maybe they come in a little cocky, especially with the games they played against us last year, as close as they were. So maybe they come in a little cocky, and let's not hope it's not a chip on their shoulder, but let's say they come in a little cocky and our guys come out and hit right from the get-go and play some D.
And one thing I like is that we've played a lot of games that have been tight down to the wire. We've played in overtime, like we've won ugly, and that's honestly like those are the games you have to win, and that's how you have to win a tournament like Arch Madness. You know what I mean? And like I think just the experience in those moments in late game situations, these high pressure situations has been invaluable, and it's going to be hopefully it'll pay dividends down the stretch.
And we have come from double digit deficits to win some games this year. Hopefully we don't do that this next.
Let's not make a habit of that, right?
Yeah. Let's just let's get it figured out. Let's play some D. What is it? Compete, defend, and rebound.
We got some work to do there.
Well, it's funny. I was joking with my buddy Bobby about the Bears and Bradley. I'm like, it'd be really nice if some of my teams would decide to play in the first half of games, because it would, number one, save the old ticker, and number two, it would help us down the stretch instead of having to come back from 10 in the final moments, right? So
it's funny you say that, Joey, because I had somebody tell me about Caleb Williams, how he's a great fourth quarter quarterback. And I said, you know what I like? A great third quarter quarterback. I like a guy who comes out guns blazing in the third quarter and then just has to hand it off in the fourth quarter. It saves everybody a lot of time, saves everybody a lot of stress, a lot of headaches, and that generally wins the game for you.
You know what I like better at quarterback? Guy that plays first half and maybe the first series of the second or the third quarter, then he sits the rest of the game. Oh, am I talking about CJ Carr? You got it, man.
Oh my goodness.
Oh my God.
So I'm just a little more of a fun topic. Go ahead.
No, I was just going to end it with, I think it's going to be crucial, as we've talked about. It's about Bradley. It's not about anybody else. And if we play our game out of the gate, we're going to be okay. right? But we got to get off to faster starts. And I think the team knows it, coach knows it, we know it. And I firmly believe, I think down the stretch here, we're going to be playing some of our best basketball.
Yeah, I mean, history tells us, right, that that's going to be the case. I mean, Wardle's teams get better as the season goes on. I'm sure that's not a unique concept across sports in general, but like it's we've said earlier, you just said it. It's about Bradley, and that's just it. Like it's not so much about like we talked about Dad talked about the matchups a little bit and so on and so forth, but really like it just comes down to like what version of Bradley's going to show up, and hopefully it's the version that we saw the last 6 minutes the other night. It's just we see it for a little bit more than 6 minutes.
Yeah, that'd be nice. A little bit longer.
Yeah.
So, gentlemen, before we get out of here, Rick, you have one thing that you have to do. We need to resurrect the tradition. I need a meta stat line.
That line. Ooh, I'm going to say he's got the opportunity to go off. He had the opportunity the other night.
I thought it was a bad matchup for him.
Well, it is, but I mean, he still has the opportunity because he has so much size over anybody they have. I mean, he's like 3 inches taller than their tallest guy, and I don't think their tallest guy necessarily comes off the bench. 6'10". But anyway, I'll give a meta stat line of, let's go with 8 points. 9 rebounds, 3 blocks.
It's pretty good for a bad matchup. I'm not going to lie.
Oh, come on. Just give him the double at this point.
I know exactly.
He doesn't want to commit that
close.
much.
He got it about a couple of games ago. I think he got one.
I think he did get one, yeah.
Yeah.
Anything is possible, Rick, but we haven't heard that prediction in quite a while. And quite frankly, I needed to hear it in my life. Well, look, it's been a minute since we've done this, and I think we're a little rusty. Joey bringing facts, bringing stats. I mean, that's a little, out of our wheelhouse. But at the end of the day, it's nice to be back with you guys. Joey, before we sign off here, I'm going to give you the floor to talk about anything that you want to hype us up or whatever you got going on. So we appreciate your time, but this is your minute.
Well, first off, thanks, guys. I love getting a chance to talk Bradley, as we all know. I'm excited here for the last couple of months, man. We're going to be bringing, I think, some good tweets here down the stretch for our coffee and AI kaboom images and all that stuff. But we're pumped. We got a good amount of games we're going to as a family down the stretch. We're hitting the UIC game. We're hitting the Valpo game on the road, both of those. We're going to be down for ISU in February, and then that last game. Going to Arch Madness, got the hotel. We're all set. We're ready to go. Man, I'm just excited to share this with everybody, and hopefully we can all continue to have some coffee and find a way to win basketball games. That's where I'm at.
We have got to make this happen. A coffee cup for you, and I think we need to get some Braves Talk coffee. What do you think? Do you got any roasters you might be able to work in there? We can get a little bit of a dark roast?
I mean, no, I recently learned dark roast has less caffeine, so I don't.
I don't drink coffee for the caffeine, my man. It's just good shit. That's why I drink coffee. But then again, that's what all addicts say. So
right, you're not wrong there, man. But it's been an awesome basketball season. We had a lot of fun down at ESPN Wide World of Sports as a family, getting to see that tournament, getting to meet a lot of really cool people down there. It was awesome that Wes and his family were able to join us for the Bradley game down there. They came down as well, and they got to see Bradley for a game and a couple ISU games for Amanda, Wes's wife. So it was all good, man. We're enjoying it. We're having fun, and hopefully we can see a lot of you guys down in St. Louis or across the various games down the stretch. We need our fans big, and man, go Braves. Fuck Drake.
Yep. There it is. Absolutely, man. It's great, Joey. Thank you so much for taking the time out to join us, and I'm sure we'll do it again sometime. It's been a lot of fun, and I'm hoping. I think I'm in the situation again this year where the only opportunity I'm gonna have. Last year, I wasn't sure if I was gonna be busy. Now this year, I'm pretty confident I'm gonna be busy. Saturday for sure of Arch Madness, but. Hopefully the Braves make it to the title game again, and I can get down to St. Louis for that one. Although my record at Arch Madness title games is not great, But as a superstitious person, I worry about that a little bit, but I just can't stay away from the Braves, man. Love to be there. If anyone wants to like tie me up somewhere so I can't get in an Enterprise Center, that's on you, I suppose. Go for it. But looking forward to the second half here. Hope the Braves can play some good basketball, and just excited to watch this team. Excited, really. I just love the community around it, right? Everybody in the chat and doing this. I'm glad we got back to it. Hopefully, we can be a little bit more consistent here throughout the remainder of the season. So thanks a lot, Joey. And how about the OG? Any parting words?
Yes, I do. I want to say one more thing about players, and just real quick, and it's Zobrist and Dietrich Richardson. Kudos to those two guys for being able to get in the last two games. Well, Dietrich was hurt the other one, but it's great to see Zobrist get in, get 11 minutes. Did very well, I felt. And it's valuable. Those are valuable minutes for him. And Dietrich did super great when he got in the game before. Hopefully we get an opportunity to see him again maybe tomorrow and put on a show for the local fans. And no, I'm not the guy that yelled at Wardle. Who was that? The Drake game, to get the
Hey, it wasn't P-Town either. I can
it wasn't him either.
That.
But
Kevin Pita, he'd be proud that you use your parting words here to celebrate the young guys. He would love that.
Yes, he has been pining for that since literally day one of the season. Well, my favorite part is the community. I know it's been a while, and maybe we weren't able to get as many people here as possible, but the fact that we've made a community out of this show, to me, that's the best part. So whether the Braves win or lose, this show will be here. Like I said, the rumors of our demise, greatly exaggerated. It's a new year, but it's still the same us. So from me, from Brad, from Rick, and Joey, this is Braves Talk.